Oh, my friend, how's it going on this fine
Uh,
Tuesday?
it is a rainy, gray day, and we both have gray walls. I think our viewers are going to be so confused of where I'm at all times. Nothing makes sense. You are a constant. I'm like the traveling gypsy on this end. I think I've been in a car, my house, my office, and then this time I'm working off site for the week. I am helping take care of my niece. Yeah, my mother had eye surgery, so my brother and his wife went down to Florida, and so we're all kind of switching gears as a family, trying to help each other out. So we have a quick episode today, behalf of me, because I have to go pick her up from school.
So, and it's a good one too. So, I appreciate you cluing me in on the news because I knew about, I knew back in 2020 when Trump instituted the pause on student loan repayment because of COVID. And then when Biden came in, he kind of kept that going, even though he shouldn't have, is what is being said. So Trump just signed a couple weeks ago the order saying that, it's time, guys, you really do have to pay your bill back. And that went into effect yesterday. Did I get that?
Yes, you did. Cinco de
Okay.
Mayo, May.
Cinco de Mayo. So everyone's celebrating. Yes, you do have to pay your bills. And quite honestly, it would be nice if we had a system in America for free education. But we do have, like my son, his first year he did at a community college, and all community colleges in the state of Michigan had free college. So there are options for people. Now, if you want to go away, there's a price to that. Just like I wish I could drive a Lambo, but I can't afford it. So I don't, right? So there's always options. And you know, there are options for people, I want to say, who want, better pricing on education. Going away to Michigan and Michigan State, it's not going to be one of those options. So today we wanted to talk about, and I'm going to really lean heavily on you because you're the lender. And when people have student loan debt, they may not realize going in they're supposed to go through, like I did it with my daughter, like, you go through the FAFSA, you go through the you watch the videos, you'll see when you get ready to do it with your daughter. And so, and it talks about what you're responsible for, what it looks like, repayment. So essentially 6 months from graduation is when that first payment comes due. And then that's about the time when kids are like, okay, let's get the first job. And then they're excited and they're like, I don't want to live at home. I'm coming back from school. Why do I want to live at home? I want my own place, right? So then they're like, next step, right? Oh, I want to get my own place. And then enter CC. CC
Here
has to look.
comes me. Oh my
Uh huh.
gosh. Oh
Uh
my.
huh. Hi, Azaka. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in. Hey, AK. Come on in, everybody. We have a great conversation. You're just in time because CC's going to talk to us about what happened.
Just to recap, we're going to talk about student loan debt. Holly is our local real estate agent. I'm your local lender. We're licensed in Michigan and in Florida. And the big thing that happened yesterday, and we're not going to talk about the jobs reports last week with rates. We're not going to go into that right now. I think what I'd like to really focus on is the student loan debt because that was pretty big. The US Department of Education came in April 21st saying it's time. It's time. And Trump agrees. So they got everything organized. They let everybody know. Social media has been blowing up. It's been all over the news. So now it is May 6th, right? Am I right? Yeah, May 6th. And we're curious to see how this is going to play out. So, within the real estate industry, within mortgage lending, this is going to affect current homeowners and future homeowners. And we'll break that down for you and what this means for you. So, if you have student loan debt and it's been deferred since 2020, that's important to know that it will be due. And as a loan officer, we always took a percentage and added towards the debt to income. Really quick, if you don't know what debt to income is, it's your income minus your debt, and that's what tells you how much you can afford for a house. So we always took in a half a percent or percent of the actual balance that's due. So we kind of already had a little cushion. We made sure everybody was safe when it came to that. We were very mindful of that coming from a mortgage company because we know it's going to come due. We just didn't know when. So, fun fact, they're coming due. And that's going to really start hurting individuals because even though for debt to income, we took a 0.5% or percent of that payment and applied it towards that debt. But really, it's going to be more than that. I've seen where our percentages came out to like, for example, $42 a month for that for one student loan that was out because there's multiple ones. Now it's going to be when you actually look at the credit report, it'll show that the monthly payment really should be $100 on that loan, of the total of that one student loan. So fun fact, no, it's typically broken up by semester. So my personal student loans, which I paid off, and that was brutal. That my account went whoosh. That was hard. That was a hard one to pay, but I had to get done because I didn't want to pay the interest. So let me back up. Let me back up. Let me share my story. When I was in college, I we had the 4 days, 4 days to go and register your classes, and we all registering classes and making sure we're on track for our degree. So we know what's the next step plan because we're in step plans for the degree that we want. Okay, where are we at? Are we still on track? You come in, you sign your paperwork, you get your funding, you get to go to the bookstore, get your bookstore stuff. Oh, by the way, get a cookie because why not charge a cookie on that too? Just saying, extra highlighters, they have them up next to the thing. So we were forced to get into this room. Now, picture this, the room is 10 by 10, and there's 50 of us. We're standing out in the hallway. There's only a few chairs. They get us in, they get us out. We're in there. No joke. I'm probably in the office, the counseling office, or the scheduling office 3 minutes, 4 minutes top. They're pushing us in, pushing us out, pushing us in, and pushing us out. By the time I was done with college, I had 11 student loan trade lines. 11. I had no clue. I didn't know every time I signed one of those pieces of papers that that was a new trade line on my credit report. I had no idea. I thought it went into some bucket, one lump sum. It doesn't. So we have multiple. And that's nerve-wracking. So if you defer, let's use me as an example, all 11 trade lines. So now that was accruing interest. Some were and some weren't. It depends on if it was federal or not. And I had two going. Well, with that said, it just kept accruing interest and interest and interest. So I quickly paid off my student loan debt as fast as possible. It still took a couple of years, but was able to smack down that 42,000 and call it a day. That was epically scary to have to pay that and drop the money. Moving forward with our conversation for real estate, how important it is to know about this, especially with the kids coming of age, the ones that are already have student loan debt deferred, that already have been out of college for the last couple of years, or individuals who already are adults that are in their 30s still with student loan debt. I see it all. Now that it's due, it's going to affect our current homeowners. We took a 0.5%. So let's do the math on this. Let's just say, oh, this is a really good example. And pull out my calculator. The last client that I worked with that had student loan debt, I believe had 48,560 was one of theirs, chiropractor. So they had, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one of multiple. So if you times that by 0.5%, we allocated $242 to their debt
per month.
per month.
Okay.
Now, really, on their, even though it says it's deferred, on their credit report, it shows that they owe 400 a month. So now 400 is technically due yesterday. And we, as a mortgage company, has taken into consideration only half of that part of their debt. How do you think people are going to live? How are professionals going to live? Let's talk about current homeowners. How does this affect the housing market? How does this affect where they live? How does this affect the overall? Now, this debt is due. Everybody knows it's due, and they've had the best time of not having to pay it or hopefully save up for it. Fingers crossed that they were able to start saving to pay.
I know kids that work through college, they find jobs up at school. Um, so that they, because they're mindful, because they understand that, it's not just free college. Like, there is free college. I started off talking about, I want to reiterate, there is free college. My son did community college is free for everyone in our state of Michigan this year, and we'll see what happens next year. But even if it's not that expensive, it's not that bad. So there are options if you don't want to be in debt. So if you decide you want to go into debt, and you have to understand what you're agreeing to. It does need to be paid back. It's just like I started off saying, I want to drive a Lambo, but I can't afford a Lambo. So I don't drive one right now. So those are options you have. So when people are crying about not wanting to pay their student loans debt, it doesn't make sense to the rest of us who have already paid it and said, well, we didn't go away if we didn't want to pay that. Right. So if you don't have rich parents that are paying it for you, might be a good idea if you're listening to this and you're not, maybe you're in high school, you're thinking about where you're going to go to college. I'd love that. Think about that. Make sure you understand what that debt does later, because we're going to give that to you so that you're not a deer in the headlights. I don't know what's happening. No, you're an adult, right? This is your first big adult decision. It's going to affect the rest of your life.
It affects so much. Understanding just enough of, okay, will my profession pay my student loan debt? That is the question. That is a number one question, and you work backwards.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
I went to school to
work
be a teacher.
backwards.
Let me just use me for this example. I went to school to be a teacher, okay? I did a community college for 2 years first. I got married at 20. So my next 2 years were at Oakland University. I had a FAFSA and I did whatever it was every semester. We just paid it each semester. So I didn't get any loans, which was nice. We were able to pay it because I didn't go away. Obviously, I was at home. But I knew I was going into teaching. I knew coming out, I'd be lucky to make 35,000 my first year. I think I made 33,000 my first year. Now again, guys, I'm older. This was 20. So I graduated in 2000. Okay. So this is 25 years ago, but teaching, it still isn't that high of a, it's not highly paid. My third year I was making maybe 41 or 42,000. So, and then I had my first daughter and I left teaching. But knowing you're going to go into a field like social work, again, I love you for that. Teachers, I love you for that. I was one. That's what I did. But stop and think. You're not coming out of school making six figures or making 75,000 or more. Think about what your options are, because unless you want to think of it this way, you can go and have the best school you want and be able to come out and get a house, or you can go live your best life, get out of school, and maybe go back and have to live with your parents for a couple of years while you save up for a house. So think about that. After college, are you going to want to live with your parents, or are you going to want to get your own place? Because once you experience that freedom, it's really hard to go back and live at home. But you may have to if the decisions that you made and the vocation you've chosen don't line up for you to be able to get a house, at least, you know in a place where you'd like to get. So it's one of those hard love or tough love conversations that parents have to have with their kids. I had this with my kids and the ones that went to school, and you do what you want, but you will be the one paying this back.
Yeah,
So think about it.
and going back to the question, does a student loan debt make sense for the career you're going into? So the reason why I bring that up is that I, as a loan officer, I nickname loans sometimes. I do. Like if I see one that kind of fits a category, I'm like, oh, it's this kind of a loan. Like I have investor loans and whatnot. But I also have one, and this is enduring. I also have my files where my clients have high student loan debt, low career income. Make sense?
Okay,
And
but it's a sad situation.
it happens so frequently. And the first one that you and I had, the client's name is Anna. And the only reason I'm giving the first name is because everybody here probably knows my daughter's name is Anna. So I did not name this after my child. I actually named it after one of the very sad situations. It's not sad, but she needs a cosigner, and she'll always need a cosigner. She knows that. Her dad knows it. It's just a common reality that she's going to have to face, and so is her father. The father knows what's going to happen here. Moving forward, every time I have a client that falls into the same category, high student loan debt, low career income, where it doesn't make sense. And this is not Anna's scenario. This is another scenario of another client where the career itself, many years into it, 5 years into it, they're only making 60,000, but their student loan debt is at 150,000. I mean, it is just sad what these institutions have done. We're
Get it. They don't understand they're signing themselves up for a life of it's
they're
gonna be
too
tough.
young, and
It's gonna be tough for them.
sadly, I have put a lot of pressure on my child, Anna, and she's freaking out about student loan debt, and she's looking at different alternatives. I know our community college does 2 years. Right now, again, like you said, you're not sure, but right now it's going to be free for next year. We know that 100%, but she's going to be a senior. What about the year after? We're not sure. So she's also looking to other alternatives because she wants to go into a career that's going to have a high student loan debt. It's aerospace engineering, potentially. That's a lot of money. That one right there, a lot of money. Luckily, they're going to she'll make a good income to help offset that. But we have to see, we got to go work backwards. The field that she wants to do, we have to work backwards because she knows that this will affect her buying a car, purchasing a home, the rest of her life of how much student loan debt.
Rates because it affects your credit.
Oh,
Anything on your credit.
it does. And it was very interesting to kind of see, and let me bring this up. There's a couple numbers that have been floating around, and a lot of it is coming here. It says, so according to CNBC, an article that I read, 42 million American household, um, more than 42 million Americans hold student loans. Yes. And the outstanding federal education debt exceeds $1.6 trillion. That we need that money back.
Yeah.
In the United States. It's time we need it back. But think about that. 42 million. We all went to college. We all did this. We all drank the Kool-Aid. Did we ask questions? No. And I'll be honest, I'm going to raise my hand. I was one of them. I had 11 trade lines on my credit report for my student loans, and I went to go defer my loans. I did not adult correctly. I ended up deferring my loans, didn't fill out the paperwork because I think I went to the bar. No joke. That was my priority. What shoes I was gonna wear.
These
I
kids don't
know!
understand, and I don't think it's a parenting thing, number 1. Like, I got involved, like, I don't know why I was okay, I got married at 20, so nobody was involved for me, but I didn't need anyone to. I've always been very independent. I read everything, I looked at everything, I knew what I was getting into. Oh,
I
I did. I've
didn't.
always
Never. They pushed us in and pushed us out at 4 minutes.
because it was financial and I was like, okay, I've always wanted to not be, I've always had a fear of debt, right? So that's why every day I'm like, why am I in real estate again? Just kidding. But yeah, so I did know what I was getting myself into and I knew what it was gonna cost. But I think most kids that went away to school They didn't. My daughter, I watched every single thing. I read all the things. I learned everything. I was just telling her. She wasn't even barely listening to me. So the fact that I kept having to be like, listen, you need to hear me. And then one time we brought it up. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. I said, no. We talked about it. I told you all about it. You knew you were supposed to read everything. I knew she didn't read everything. That's why I did it. But I think here's something else I want to say. I want to throw this in. Gen Z, which is our kids' age, I think they're smarter than, okay, so I'm going to give them this credit. Gen X, we're awesome. Nobody's better. We know that, right? Just for a lot of reasons. But, but just because we're so capable and independent, and I feel like it's the way we were raised, okay? We may have, and then there's something that happened with the millennials and they kind of lost that a little bit. I don't know what happened, got soft kind of. But with Gen Z, what I've seen, they are smarter. They are paying attention. There's a lot of Gen Z kids that aren't going to college, not, and I'm not saying don't go to college, but they're looking at the things we're talking about. What is it going to cost? What job can I get? How much money can I make? But if I do this, I can make more money than that. Uh-oh, we lost Cece. Hey, Ray Jack, pay what you oh, I know, right? You're probably are you Gen X just like me, Ray? You're like, pay what's due. Okay, we totally lost Cece, guys. I don't know if she's coming back. Oh, we totally lost her. But anyways, so the point is you got to count the cost. You have to find out, does it make sense for me to go to school? Oh, she's coming back in. Does it make sense for me to go to school to make $50,000 a year? Okay, it does. But does it make sense if I'm going to go to the top school and come out with 100,000 in debt? Okay. So you may want, it's like one of those lessons, you may want it, but maybe you can't afford it. And you got to understand, this is the third time I'm going to say this because I know we've got different people coming in and out and transitioning. Just because I want a Lambo, and I do, it's like my dream car, guys. I can't afford one, so I don't get one. But if I want to work really hard one day, maybe I'll be able to afford one and I can get one, right? Probably not going to buy one. But point being, you've got to count your costs first. I know it sounds like fun. Trust me, I have three kids, 18, 20, and 22. I get it. I understand the, desire to want to go away to school and live your best life and have all this fun. However, you don't want to, and another thing the kids are saying is, oh, that's a future me problem. Honey, future's in 4 years. Future comes due really quick and it collects with interest, especially in this situation. So listen to what we're saying with how you spend and what you're going into, what the debt looks like, and what you're going to come out with. Like Cece mentioned, what you're going to make. Because I will say the worst thing I can think of is coming home from college, getting your first job, and finding out you can't afford a house because you went way over in student loans. And now you got to live with mommy and daddy. That hurts worse, I would think, than going to community college maybe for 2 years or even a college that you can commute to, but then working hard while you go to school, or if you do go away, have a job. It's possible. I know people who did it, make money and be able to pay those student loans off or pay while you're going through it because like that's being responsible. What kind of life do you want? Do you want to set yourself up to be in debt for for a specific amount of time, or do you want to set yourself up to be successful and to make money? I'm proud of my kids. I'll tell you what they did. They've been investing. I wish I would have done that since they were 19 or younger, actually, my younger one. They're investing already. And it might be a small amount at first, but they're putting away for retirement already now and putting away for that. I didn't do that. I wish I would have. I wish somebody would have sat down and taught me money matters instead of just go live your best life, go away to school, worry about it later. So that's my I hope somebody's going to listen to this and really take it to heart because we want you to be able to come out of school, get an amazing job. And we're not saying those jobs that pay 50 or 60,000. We're not trying to make you feel bad. If that's your passion, I was a teacher. I made like 40 grand. Okay. A long time ago. I love the kids. I love teachers. I still respect the heck out of teachers. I think it's one of the hardest jobs. Anyone who goes into it is not somebody who's going in for the money. It's a calling and it's something that they're doing. It's like a public service.
Yeah, social work,
Don't spend 100,000 to be a teacher.
and
You'll be
that's where
sorry you did. You're not gonna make the money for so long, and then you're living at home with your parents, and maybe some kids are okay with that. I know I wouldn't be. I wanted to be out doing my thing. I think most kids do. There's a couple
throw
maybe
a
that
scary thing in there.
yes, if this isn't scaring them enough, bring it home,
I
Cece, bring it
know,
home.
but
Knock it out of the
it means so much now that I'm having this discussion with my child of like, okay, what's her future going to look like? What's she going to do? So, regarding this, the student loan debt, the individuals who are default right now, as of May 5th, out of that 42 million people with student loan debt, about 5 million are in default. And they're gonna, from my understanding of what I've looked into, they only have so long before it's actually sent to collections. You cannot file bankruptcy on student loan debt. And what's going to happen, and everything I've read so far and what they're projecting to do, is that they're going to start taking tax refunds. They're going to start garnishing paychecks. Even They're talking they're talking about taking Social Security benefits. That's a lot. Subsidize has interest.
the fact, right? Or it never accrues interest.
No, it never does because it's that type of yeah, it's that type of a loan. So, for example, when I went to college, I was married at the time, or I was married when I was finishing up that one yeah, that one degree. And our income is I didn't even have to hit print for my FAFSA form. It was denied. I received no help because we made too much money. I work full time, he worked full time.
Now,
We were in a different bracket for sure of income. They're like, "Yeah, you get no help." So I had to pay for the whole thing. Fine.
second degree?
No, I only have one, but I finished it up. Excuse me. But so just hearing the idea, and I didn't even think that you were able to file bankruptcy. This debt is going to follow, and that's my point. Again, going back to the same question and the same comment, you want to make sure the career that you have is going to match a student loan debt or have some type of repayment because you can't file bankruptcy. They're going to come after your tax returns. Somehow, some way, they're going to get their money, even though they sold you a dream that was too expensive. And they didn't slow down and help educate kids. You and I, Holly, on here are educators. We love educating in our industry. You educate about real estate. I love educating about divorces or not divorces. Oh my gosh. We do help divorce. We do help people with divorce. Um, yes. Yes. So we exactly. And now with the student loan debt, how this affects the housing market. This is huge. And so as an young 18-year-old or 17, mine's going to be 17 going into college. That's young. What if they don't read? They push her in, push her out, like they did with me when I was in Baker College. Push us in, push us out. They're there to make money off of us. They weren't there for they're not volunteering their time. It was a business and they knew what they were doing. 5 minutes, that's all you get. You get in, you get out. But it's so important to understand and know where we're at, what we're doing, and even educating our kids, our grandkids, our neighbors, whomever, like, hey, you're going to college, great. Make sure you learn about student loan debt. This is important
They have
and
to
how
read
it's
it. It's there. You just have to read it. Now you can fast forward it and not really read it and pretend like you read it, but that's on you. because it's all there. If you go through what you're, so the education you have to go through before they approve you. If you just scroll through it and don't read it,
I call
then,
that the
but you can't say
ostrich.
nobody tried to tell you because it is there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't cry like, "Oh, I didn't know." Well, you just didn't wanna know.
I call it the ostrich thinking. And I say this head in the sand. They just bury their head. I don't want to hear it. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get the
Nobody
memo. So, yeah.
what?
Unfortunately, but so yesterday, that's big. This started, and to hear approximately, because there's a few articles I've read, and there's been some numbers, and they're estimating they're all right around the same numbers, but 42 million individuals have student loan debt. Five are in full default. Full default. 5 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of people who are about to get into trouble who didn't want this to happen because I hate to say it, the last administration was trying to get student loan debt waived.
Well, because the last administration, from what we've been able to uncover, has a lot of things that they were paying into that we probably all wouldn't agree with as well. That being said, Trump was the first one, and what he did was right in 2020 because of COVID. He said, "You know what? I'm going to put a pause on the repayments because every people weren't working." That was legitimate. What Biden did was not legitimate. He didn't have a reason to do that. I think he just wanted to earn some points, which is great. But what he did essentially is
Vote.
lull people into a false sense of security that was never meant for them to have. It was never meant for, like, you can go to school, party away at state, and come home and not pay your you can't do that. So yes, it had to be opened back up, but no, you got to pay this, right? There's not a reason to continue it. So I know we have to get closed out soon. Our points are, you need to know, count the costs on anything before you do it. If you decide to go away to school, understand what that's going to cost you. Make sure that the amount of money you're going to come out with, if it's not at least 75,000, I'm thinking six figures would be better within at least 1 year. Like, you need to consider other options like a community college or commuting, because you can save a lot that way. You can still get the education you need. Not everybody feels like they need college. There are so many other paths. There are trade schools. There's so many opportunities, and some people may take a couple of years and work first. Maybe you get into a situation where you can work first, save some money so you can offset some of the loans. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do. Don't be pushed into, like, oh, everybody, I'm out of college, so I just, or I'm out of high school, I just have to go away to college like everyone else, because everyone else is in debt. And you don't want it. You want to be like the top 2% of the world. They are looking for ways to not be in debt. Be smart with money. Be smart with setting up your financial fitness and your lifestyle. Think now. I wish I could go back to being an 18-year-old and make some changes financially to what I did. I wish I could, and set some things up. That would have been smarter.
Wish I would have done an internship so much sooner of the career I thought I wanted. Because after I did my the last semester of my, and I don't know how it is for teachers. So before your master's at your bachelor process, did you go shadow? Because I finally did an internship at the very end, and when I did the internship for my career that I wanted, it was so boring. Boring. I sat there and legitimately cried at the desk of how boring and how much I did not want to be in this career that I just did all of this time in. Now, granted, I got to tell you, I really liked the classes. It was interesting. I love law. It was fine, but it wasn't for me because all the challenge for me would have been spelling someone's name correctly. And I love my puzzles. And never.
But no, I did it all. But yeah, make sure you want to do this career. If you can do, my son is doing an internship this summer. in the field. He's getting into construction management. He finished his first year at a community college. He's doing it right now. So he's going to get a taste of it. Plus, he's kind of done it in the past. But great point. So thank you so much again, Cece, and we can come on again. We're here Tuesdays at 2 is our new time. We used to be at 6:30. So it's easy to remember, Tuesdays at 2 Eastern time. And Cece Maciescu at Simple Home Lending. She's a fantastic lender. She's licensed in Michigan and in Florida, just like myself. I'm Holly Amato. I'm a real estate agent here. We're both licensed in both places. We love talking. We love the topics around real estate and lending and everything that
Kinda like
touches
to
it.
talk.
Yeah, we love talking. So just if you want to make a comment, we'd love to hear it. If there's something you want to hear us talk about, please remember to like the episode and subscribe, tap the bell so that you'll know when we're live and when I post new videos. And just want everybody to be blessed and have a wonderful rest of your week.
For having me on, Holly.
Of
As
course.
always.
Thanks for
Goodbye, everybody.
being here. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.